Hey, welcome to Genre Exposure, a film podcast. Join us as we explore the wide world of cinema, broaden our horizons one movie at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Dustin, and as usual, I am here with Jason.
Hey everyone,
How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
Cool.
It's been a busy week.
Has been.
As you know, we have adopted a new kitten.
Yes, we must introduce a new podcat.
A new podcat, that's right. Her name is Sadie. And she's
Adorable.
a cute little tuxedo cat that came from the Humane Society.
I love tuxedo cats.
Never had one before.
Oh, they're fun.
Yeah, she's hyper, that's for sure. Woo. But yeah, you'll probably hear her soon. She's
Yay.
locked upstairs, so she's probably going to start. I did turn her toy on. I got one of those like automatic laser light toys. So hopefully
fancy.
That'll keep her.
She's already living the good life.
She's going to be spoiled, don't worry.
And you too could have such fun endeavors if you go adopt a pet.
Yeah, go on Pet Finder.
Why not adopt?
Find the closest pet next to you that needs a good home.
It needs love. You can give it love.
That's right. Just don't let it watch this movie.
Just don't let it watch this movie we're talking about. We're doing a listener episode, and we're talking about, this is one of those legends, Necromantic.
Mm-hmm.
Directed
87.
by, is this, you say this Jorg
Boot Garrett,
Garrett?
perhaps.
Yes.
That's our best pronunciation.
Jorg Boot Garrett from 1988. Super infamous slice of extreme horror about necrophilia.
Mm-hmm.
So super big right up off the top. We teased it last time, but we'll do it again here. This is one of those where we have to do the super big content warning. If you didn't already watch this before you came to the episode, just know this one's pretty rough. Deals with a lot of heavy themes. Obviously necrophilia, given the premise and the title.
Yeah.
But more than that too, and this is what I want to highlight on here before you get further in the episode. This does depict actual like animal cruelty in the film.
Yes.
And we will, of course, talk about that scene and the whole, what the director said and this and that about it. But just know if that's one of your things, one of your triggers, like, this probably isn't the film for you. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to say, you know what, I don't need to watch this film.
I mean, it's definitely triggering for us because we're
Yeah.
both are big animal lovers and we don't dig on the animal cruelty shit.
Yeah.
But this movie exists. It's there. And
It's a thing. Know your limits, know what you're okay with. If it's not your film, that's fine. And this is kind of just your warning now. If you don't even want to hear people discussing it, give this one a skip. We're getting close to episode 100. There's all kinds of other ones you can check out.
Yeah. Come back to the next one. I'll do a slight tease. The next one movie is going to be my choice, and it does not involve any real animal harm, but it might involve some
Fictional.
fake animal harm.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. And then the other thing I'll say, check out this fucking segue I thought of, Jason. If you're already caught up on Air Show and you don't have anything else to do and you want to skip this one, we're part of the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, and there's all kinds of other awesome shows you can go and check out. See what they're doing, see what they've been up to. I guarantee at least one of them is not talking about a film with animal cruelty in it.
Can you really guarantee that?
I can. Yeah, I think there's enough of them that I can guarantee that at least one will get you through this week.
Okay.
If we're not the one for your listening pleasure this time.
Good deal.
But all that being said, what you been watching?
Let's see. Yeah, I'll talk about a couple things.
Lots of big stuff in theaters right now, none of which I've had the opportunity to go see.
Same. Yeah, I haven't seen Alien Romulus yet. I hope to amend that this weekend. I did watch Abigail,
Oh, okay.
which
Cool.
is somewhat recent.
Yeah, I was interested in that.
Yes.
It gave me some Vampire the Masquerade vibes.
I could see that, totally. Yeah. But it is a new movie by the Radio Silence dudes. I'm sure you've all seen the trailers.
Trailer was fun.
It gives away a lot, but I mean, that is the whole plot of the movie.
Right.
These criminals kidnap this girl, take her to this mansion where they're going to hold her ransom. Turns out she's a fucking vampire.
Yeah.
It's good.
Oh no, I didn't like how long you drug that out.
This is nothing special. We've kind of seen it before.
Okay.
It has a great cast though. It's got Dan Stevens, it's got Melissa Barrera, the girl who plays Abigail, Alicia Weir. I'm sorry, she's quite good. She's someone to keep your eye on.
She seemed good even in the trailer, just like that
Yeah.
slice of her
Yeah,
performance.
she's really going for it.
Cool.
It's got Giancarlo Esposito. He's always great. So good cast, good setup. It's I'm always a sucker for a vampire movie.
Oh yeah.
No pun intended. It's worth watching. It's just again. I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm gonna fucking say it. It's just a little too long. It should have been like an hour and a half. It's like an hour 50. It's pushing it a bit. There's some stuff that could have been cut.
Okay.
But I mean, it's worth watching. It's fun. I'll watch it with my wife, who's not like a big fan of horror films, and she enjoyed it.
Oh, okay. Broad appeal.
Yeah. So if you've got a significant other who's not, kind of horror,
they're not ready
movies,
for necromantic.
They're not ready for. They may be ready for Abigail.
And you could say, "Hey, baby, what about Abigail?"
There's some fun jokes, some fun, gore effects, and it's worth watching. It's nothing that's gonna change your world. It's not gonna upend the movie industry. It's not, it's good, but it does have those Vampire Masquerade type vibes.
I like it. I'd still give it a watch. Okay.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it.
What else you got?
Okay, so this might be a cheat, but I started Tarot.
Oh,
because
okay.
it's on Netflix.
Yeah, I wanted to watch that.
Yeah, I got halfway through it and stopped watching.
I mean, it just looks like the shittiest film ever.
It's the same thing. It's the same fucking movie you have seen 100 times already.
Blumhouse.movie.
Yep, bunch of kids find this creepy tarot card thing in this house they're renting. Tell the fortune. The fortune foretells how they're gonna die. They finally figure out, oh, hey, it's our fortunes. They go find the person who tells them what's going on. Oh, they have to find a way to stop it. And okay, I only got halfway through, but I've seen like 3 or 4 kills. And every kill could have been avoided if they just fucking stood still. Because it's like the tarot characters will show up and pretty much coerce you to go into a certain direction and something will happen to you. They don't... It's like, okay, just... don't.
So it's like the Blumhouse Funhouse.
Yeah,
thing
a lot of jumping out in the dark, a lot of boo, and it's baby's first horror movie.
Oh man, I'm gonna watch it at some point.
Yeah, you'll probably come back saying, "Oh, dude, it's great,
dude.
I love this."
She was hype. Horror film of 2024, Tarot. You heard it here first. No, see, I like tarot in general. The idea, the premise. I own some tarot decks.
It's a good creepy idea.
It's fun. I think it's fucking brilliant to be like, oh, let's take the major arcana cards, make each one a spooky monster.
And if they were like the Cabin in the Woods monsters or something like that, it would be a lot cooler. But they're just lame, generic Halloween Express type monsters.
Yeah, from the trailer, they kind of all looked like failed Conjuring pitches or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yep. You got it. So that's what I've been watching and not watching. How about you?
Okay, well, I'm going to take you in a different direction. Mm-hmm. We're getting close to the spooky season.
Fucking A, we are.
October's not too far along. Finally starting to get that weather change, which I always like. Mm-hmm. But I want the spooky now. And so I've been on a bender of watching like a lot of those like paranormal, like ghost hunting shows and stuff. No. And of course there's films of those too. So I
purportedly real? Like documentaries?
Allegedly a documentary. And so here's a tale of 2 of them. And we're going to start, not with ghosts, actually. We're going to start with Ye Old Cryptids, as they are. Because I checked out Dogman Territory, Werewolves and the Land Between the Lakes. This was directed by Seth Breedlove. He's made a ton of these like documentary films about like UFOs and Bigfoot and like he's done one on the Mothman and kind of just all your good general paranormal topics type things. And I think, Small Town Monsters was involved. That's like one of those groups that does a bunch of paranormal documentaries. But this is about fucking Dogman. Do you know what Dogman is?
I do not. Dogman is a King's X album. That's all I know.
Close. No. So it's like one of those cryptids. It's like it's kind of a sort of Bigfoot thing, but it's kind of not. It's in that same slice of like an entity that's in like forested regions.
Okay.
That's secluded. Thing with Dogman is it's like usually more like sinister angle. Like, right? You know, there's a lot of people that's like, I thought I saw a Bigfoot and it was like, oh, peace and love. Not Dogman. Dogman's just kind of like, it seems like it's gonna fucking kill me, and I ran away.
Okay, I like Dogman.
But it's focused on Land Between the Lakes, which if you are a Kentucky native like us, that's a little region around here. I think a lot of people like to go there for like, outdoorsy stuff, hunting, fishing, that kind of deal, camping,
Yeah, sure.
hiking. It has an unusual amount of alleged Dogman sightings.
Also, a huge alleged amount of alcohol.
Yes, that as well. And so that's pretty much what this documentary is. They just go there, they kind of explore around. They interview some people that have had major sightings, tell the story. A lot of like the research part and not a lot of the investigative part. Like it never gets to the part where it's like, let's go trance in the woods for like 8 hours and shoot all the footage and then edit that down into like 2 minutes of when the cool thing happened.
Right. When they see maybe something that was a shadow behind a tree.
But that's the fun part, right? That's the
Yeah.
part you're wanting.
Right.
So it was more of just the stories. And I've never watched any of these like small town monster documentaries. Maybe I'll try some more and see if this was just like a isolated thing. But this one would have these like cutaways where they had like a dude in a fucking costume and they would like dramatize the stories.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so fucking lame. It's not good.
Reminds you like Legend of Blackgate Creek or something.
Yeah, and that was kind of what I liked about it because it did kind of have that vibe a little bit. But yeah, it's whatever.
Lame, huh?
It's on Tubi, so it's free. It's easy to get at.
At least it's free.
Kind of well made, but it's whatever.
Okay.
So that's that.
What else you got?
So then I jumped over to Amazon Prime to check out The Haunting Lodge. And so this is a paranormal documentary made by two filmmakers who I believe were part of, was it Ghost Hunters Academy? That was like when I had already stopped watching Ghost Hunters, but that was like they were bringing in like new people and like kind of like training them and making it more of like, I don't know, like a reality TV show thing,
Okay.
blatantly than what it already was.
Right.
But it's Kendall Welton and Vera Welton. And it kind of just seems like the sort of thing that they wanted to do like a Ghost Hunters type show, but they just decided to fund it themselves and make it their own documentary, release it themselves, which I respect.
Sure. I get behind that.
Because a lot of the paranormal investigators I like kind of don't do the whole like Travel Channel cycle of stuff because they flat out say like, they want you to fake stuff to make it more exciting, to make the episode be engaging.
Right.
And if you are serious about it, like
Because there's actually nothing fucking out there, so they got to do something.
don't want to do that because then that damages your integrity, right? So, so yeah, it was about this. It was like a lodge that this dude like kind of bought, and he set it up basically for hunters to come. You can stay there, like book it for a time, and there's lots of good like land around to go hunting in. And they kept having weird paranormal-y things when people would stay there. People would ask them questions like after their stay ended about like, oh, did you come on the property while we were there at night and things like that.
No.
And did you come into the house? We heard a door open. And
Right.
it kind of builds up, and it builds up into like these little different like haunted stories about the lodge. And so those filmmakers come in and they're going to just stay there for the weekend, see if they can capture any activity, and also like do research. So it's pretty fun. It follows all the beats of like a Ghost Hunters episode, just kind of stretched out into like a full like hour length thing instead of just like 20 minutes sliced up or something. They get into the history, the other things, the backgrounds are going there. And then they decide to bring in a psychic, and it gets really fucking weird. Because it was both interesting, but also stretched the believability of the show.
Did it?
As it were, because they tell her like nothing coming in. And so from the airport driving out to the lodge, she like magically just guesses like all the things they've already figured out up to that point.
Okay.
Which, strains belief a little bit.
Sure.
For sure. But then when she gets there, and they do kind of capture some weird stuff on footage, which was interesting, but she starts to have all this stuff of like, oh, it's not a ghost, it's like another intelligence, and it starts to like veer into a weird like alien UFO angle, which I thought was interesting and kind of like clever. Now, did they make that up? I don't know. Maybe, probably, potentially. But this was like well shot, well filmed, well composed. So at an hour, it was at least pretty enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Did it spookify you? Did you get scared?
It didn't really scare me, no. Takes a lot to spook old Dustin these days. And,
Yep.
again, I plug it a lot, but the only paranormal documentary that's really like giving me the heebie-jeebies was Greg and Dana Newkirk. They're my favorite paranormal investigators, and they did the series Hellier, which is on YouTube. You can watch for free. And then I think I talked about it on the episodes. Their standalone documentary, The Unbinding,
Yes.
which you can like rent on Prime. They have fucking phenomenal filmmaking to all the stuff they do. That even if you just don't believe any of this and you're just like whatever, there's people fucking around. Like
at least it looks good.
it looks good. It sounds good. It's composed well. The dude who does all their stuff is like I think his name's Carl Pfeiffer. He is like he could be an A24 filmmaker if he wanted to be. Like just the quality, the shots, the composition.
Okay. That's high praise.
And it's cool to see that brought to the typical like Ghost Hunter documentary style process.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of two average things you can go check out if you want, and then I didn't even watch it, but a bunch of praise for something else.
There you go.
But yeah, that's me. I'm ready for spooky times.
Hell yeah, bring it on.
Do you want to do that as an episode, like on air? We can do like a seance and.
Not really, no.
No, you don't want to do that.
No.
Oh,
I don't.
okay. Because there's this neat thing, like the ghost box thing, like the little like box that like scans the radio and they think you can hear voices. So
Sure.
this is totally a random aside, and it's being recorded, but it's whatever. There's this thing that like the Newkirk people do now. That's it's like every show has copied them now, but it's called the Estes method. So you have like the spirit box, and you have it going into like headphones that someone has on, and they're blindfolded, and so you have one person like asking the questions, and then the person like jacked in only calls out what they hear, and it's kind of like a double blind like test of like if you get an intelligent answer. That kind of is like another layer of like, what about that? Because like the person can't hear what you're saying.
Right.
They can only just hear what's coming in
Okay.
through the thing. Interesting. Something to think about. I know you're a skeptic. It's okay, Jason.
I'm so skeptic.
You're sweating over there.
Such
It's fine.
skeptic.
It's totally fine. Maybe we'll keep this part in. It's kind of funny.
Uh-huh.
Today we're talking about Necromantic.
Yes. We're
Your-
feeling necromantic.
Budgerit.
Yeah, what's your, do you have a relationship with this movie? What's your history with this movie?
So it was one of those ones like you hear about it.
Yeah.
If you're in any circles of people liking horror films.
Yeah, if you're watching those YouTube videos, Most Disturbing, the iceberg thing, yeah.
It's
This
on
movie's
there.
on there.
And I never saw it because there was no way to see it.
Right.
Really, you had to get like a traded VHS tape or until it had a proper release. And after it had the proper release, it was one of those ones like, and I've talked about this before in other extreme horror episodes. Like some of them, I'm like, I don't need to see this. I'll watch it at some point,
Right.
but I'll come to it when I come to it.
Yeah.
And I think when I finally got to it, it was only just a few years ago, and it was just when I was on a bender of like, let me cross off a bunch of old shit I never got to.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about you? I think you have a more compelling background with it, right?
I don't know if it's compelling, but I have this book here. I think I brought this up before. It's one of my first horror movie books that I got in high school. It's called Cut Horror Writers on Horror Film.
Oh, cool.
So this is back in 92. I was like 16, right? So this is back in the day. This is like how you heard about movies, especially weird different ones.
Sure.
But Stanley Wader has an article about the most disturbing, Disturbo 13, he calls it.
Oh, you've brought this up before.
Yes, I have. And of course, Necromantic is one of them.
Oh.
And let's see. What does he have to say about it? He does say it's an unrelenting ode to necrophilia.
Sure.
Necromantic is such a black hole of nihilism that if it weren't for the second-rate special makeup effects, it would be all but impossible to sit through. So I'm reading about all these movies, right? And this is the early 90s, and I mean, you weren't finding this shit, you know? So I'm always on the lookout for this stuff. I would like scour all the little CD video stores I could find.
When they had the case and it's just white and they wrote on it in pen or something.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, eventually, and those of you of a certain age who live in or near Lexington back in the day are probably familiar with Slime, which is what South Limestone always used to be called. And back then it lived up to the name because it was the cool part of town. It was the alternative part of town.
Oh, nice.
It had, Tally Ho, which is a famous local restaurant
Great place.
that was there forever, open 24 hours. You can go there after a midnight movie at the Kentucky Theater and hang out with all the druggies and all the weirdos. And
Yeah, I went to a late night D&D game once, and I was in Tally Ho at like 1 a.m. having a burger and reading D&D books.
Yes.
In a booth with a bunch of people.
oh man, it was a
Classic.
special, magical place where you could see and hear all sorts of things. It was amazing. All sorts of cool boutiques. Sketchwell Media, which is still there.
Still there.
Was in its heyday then, and the Paisley Peacock. And there was a store called Cut Corner Records.
Ooh.
A great record store. But in the basement, which they didn't even really advertise that much, you would go in and see a sign in the back that says "To the Video Vault." So you would go down these narrow steps down into this windowless basement, and the room was probably maybe 15 by 20, and it had a bunch of old wooden shelves and tapes everywhere, right? Just skeezy little windowless room, dark, hard to see anything. And of course they have porn to rent and shit. But they had a lot of horror films and a lot of hard to find shit.
Ooh,
This is the back in the day when it was all like bootlegged. You were getting like third generation VHS
like the
copies.
magazine, like tape trading shit.
Right.
Where they would like dub it. And
Yeah,
send
like
it to
Video
you.
Search of Miami
Yeah.
and shit like that. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, I found Necromantic there amongst lots of other like Lucio Fulci and Argento. Back when it was hard to find.
We didn't have our nice boutique Blu-ray releases.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, Necromantic, cool. I'm gonna watch it. So yeah, that's how I found the movie Necromantic. Watched it with some friends. Yeah,
Not a good group watch film. let's say.
no. But my only other friend who was into extreme horror and stuff. So yeah, it's and it was fun. It was an experience. So I have a fun memory of this movie. It was one of those things like, oh, it's so extreme. Oh, I gotta see it. And I mean, the version that's streaming on Shudder, which is how I watched it, looked a lot better than this third generation fucked up video, which actually gave it more of a forbidden sheen, Now it's almost too clean.
Because then it feels like it's a taboo thing you're watching at that
Right,
point that you've like smuggled your way into.
Yeah, and the effects look better because they're fuzzier.
Yeah, they're
not
masked
as
by
detailed. Yeah, it's the August Underground effect. The tape's so degraded, things look more realistic.
Now you pay for digital effects to get that.
Right, you gotta you gotta put on filters and shit to make it look that way.
Which, by the way, this is a listener episode. It came to us from Elena.
Yes,
Thank you, Elena.
Elena likes fucked up shit. We like Elena.
Yeah, we have a lot of respect for you because you randomly commented one thing and we were like, we do requests. And she was like, no, you know what? I love all these extreme horror films and I want people to talk about them. So here's like 15. Mm-hmm. And we've been riding on them ever since.
Yep.
So
Yep, we'll get to them all eventually.
thank you, Elena. You're keeping us going, keeping us live.
That's right.
And yeah, Necromantic, it happened.
And it is one of the biggest ones that you should talk about. Like if you're talking about disturbing films, eventually you need to talk about Necromantic.
It's kind of like when we finally got to Cannibal Holocaust.
Right. Yes. And that's on the list of Disturbable 13.
We may
I
need
think
just to
that
do
was the
rest
first
of
one I
those.
found, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That one's a little more accessible.
Yeah, it is now. I mean, back then it was still bitched fine, but yeah. And speaking of Shudder, I found out something interesting because I was using Shudder through Amazon, and apparently they're blocking certain searches. Necromantic was not coming up
Oh, weird.
because I did Just Watch and I knew it was on there. I'm like, fuck you, Amazon. What else are you blocking? So I got rid of my Amazon subscription through them and just got straight through Shudder. So I've got the app.
Better anyways.
Yeah, it is. I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place.
I like that on their app they have the like live TV channels, so it's just like looping their content.
Yeah, they were playing the church when I first.
So if you're just
loaded.
like whatever, put this on in the background.
Yeah. So if you're using Shudder through Amazon, fuck that. Don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Just get it through its own app.
Put that shit straight in your veins.
That's right. Cut out the middleman.
What genre is this, Jason?
West German gore.
Officially, IMDb says horror, which is okay, sure.
Sure, obviously.
Wikipedia tags in exploitation as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think you hit on an important thing is to say that this is West German due to the time when this was made, and that's somewhat of a factor of the film.
It was the good Germany.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, it's very German. It is so fucking German.
Very much so.
I mean, like the joke in The Big Lebowski with the nihilist, the German nihilist. This is them if they made a movie. We believe in nothing, Lebowski, except death, apparently. Yeah, it's extreme horror, gore, trash,
All that good stuff.
and I say that with love because I love trash. I love exploitation. Fucking love it.
Yeah. So I guess let's get right into it.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
This may not be as long as our usual episodes.
No, it's a short movie.
Short movie. It's really more about the atmosphere, so.
Yep. It opens with a quote. Do you have that written down?
I did not write it down.
I didn't write it down either. I was hoping you would. Okay, we'll come back to that. We'll circle around to that. But we meet Rob, who is, well, I guess the first thing we see is a woman pissing on the side of the road.
I lied. I have it in my notes right here.
I knew you had it.
What lives that does not live from the death of something else? And that's from V.L. Compton.
Which I actually like that quote because it's true. You can't have life without something dying.
True.
Even vegans, you're still eating something that's alive. You know, plants and shit.
I think plenty has been
that's alive.
shown to say that plants also have a life.
Right. So it's like Night of the Demon. The sorcerer says you get nothing for nothing. You know, there's a price for everything.
Yeah. If you're an anime nerd, Full Metal Alchemist, the law of equivalent exchange.
Okay, sure, that too. Yeah. Yeah, so we open on a woman taking a piss on the side of the road.
Like you do.
As you do. And she gets back into her car with her man, and they're driving, trying to look at the map.
Which, by the way, I just want to bring this out of the gate. Like, this film has a real, like, it just focuses on, like, the piss and everything. And, like,
oh, yeah. No, it's grotty as fuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like right in there.
Yeah, it's imagine like a no John Waters movie, just with more necrophilia.
Yeah. Good comparison.
Actually, I think this is one of John Waters' favorite movies.
I have a commentary from him, but I'll bring it up later.
Okay.
My notes.
Yeah, so they're trying to look at this map, and it's dark and everything and raining, and they wreck. And so we cut to them in the morning, and the dude's got, like, you know, a shard of wood in his eye. He's been Lucio Fulci'd.
Pretty gnarly.
Yeah, the chick's cut in half. Her body's laying on the road. And this cleanup crew comes by.
Yeah, and this threw me for a minute because, and I don't know why I didn't believe this, but I was like, does this even exist?
Yes, it does.
And it does exist, but yeah, just the way it shook me because it's so like down to earth, where it's like they just roll up.
It's like trash collectors.
And they pop out and
they're
yeah.
It's not very efficient, but they're actually using like trash bags.
Yeah.
You think they would actually have like heavy duty body bags, but
I guess it's just because we kind of skipped the part of like the police or whoever would have come and like looked into it.
Sure.
And then they would like clean this shit up, but
yeah,
we just jumped right to that part.
Right. Which, I mean, that's the thing, because if, you know, people are like killed in the house and no one comes and cleans that mess up, you know, you have to either have a service do it or do it yourself. So,
yeah,
it's one of those horrible things you don't really think about. So yeah, Rob is one of these collectors.
Yeah, Robert Schmetke.
And they are called Joe Street Cleaning Service. They got like an almost, their logo looks kind of S-y? I don't know, a little Nazi-ish?
A little bit. I think in a tongue-in-cheek way it's meant to be so.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Rob, played by Bernd Daktari Lorenz.
He did some of the music for the movie.
I'm sorry.
Some of the music's effective.
Let's talk about that right now. The music is like
droning.
The worst full moon score on their worst day of their worst performance of their worst film.
My biggest complaint is it gets very repetitive. Some of it works. I do think some of it works, especially toward the end. But yeah, it's very, very amateurish.
It's pretty rough.
It's no Autobahn, that's for sure.
You know, they brought in like for the old Dracula film, like those people like rescore it.
Yeah,
they should do that for this.
Like Philip Glass.
Yeah,
you should do Necromantic. Okay.
Philip Glass's Necromantic.
Perfect. Class it up a little bit.
Or you know what? They're on a tear right now. So how about Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross?
Okay.
Just let them sit with it.
That
see what happens.
Might actually work. Yeah. So
instead, they're making a fucking Tron score.
Oh God. So yeah, they're cleaning up the mess. I found out pretty quickly that Rob's supervisor has a problem with him. We don't know why. Rob doesn't quite fit in with the others.
He's a little weird. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, he's funny. He's a funny guy.
Funny in the way that you're a little preoccupied with the dead bodies.
Yeah, because
when you're cleaning up.
apparently he's taking home pieces of them.
Yeah. Which we see him, he snatches the dude's eye.
Yeah.
And pockets it.
Right. And he gets home to his apartment, the exterior of which looks like Led Zeppelin's album, The Physical Graffiti.
Yeah, for sure.
And the apartment itself is grotty and gross. And but somehow this dude has a hot girlfriend.
Yeah, Betty. Her name.
Who's really into necrophilia.
She's played by Beatrice Manowski.
Yeah. Good looking chick.
She's cute. And their apartment's a little odd. There's like centerfolds up on the wall, but then there's also like pictures of serial killers.
Yeah.
He's got jars with human body parts in it.
Yep.
Some of them are even a little questionable because there's one that looks like a little like baby fetus.
Yeah, yeah.
And I guess he just plucked that from a job, but
Probably. And he's like putting his pieces into the jars, and Beatrice comes up and she's like, "Ooh, nice." You know,
they're really
she's
into this together. It's a
it.
shared.
It's a shared
thing.
hobby. You know?
They say opposites attract, but it's good to have some hobbies you can share.
Sure.
But yeah, so he like preserves the eye. They're all like, ooh, all into it.
And then she's taking a bath, and the water looks kind of bloody. So I guess maybe she's bathing with some of these body parts or something. They're not very clear about that.
That was the impression I got.
But he's watching this show about like aversion therapy.
Yeah.
And the guy's talking about how like someone's afraid of spiders. Oh, I just put spiders on them, and some of them even grow to love spiders. Which I guess that's part of this movie's thesis. It's like, so death is frightening, death is scary. Maybe Rob and Beatrice went a little too heavy into the aversion therapy and found themselves attracted to death.
Maybe. I don't know if it suggested that about them as much as that was kind of more of like a play at the audience.
Sure. Because we're the gorehounds sitting here watching this horror movie and shit. Yeah. But then he like fantasizes or remembers a farmer killing and butchering a rabbit.
Yes, and this is our scene of actual animal cruelty.
Yeah, it's bad. It shows everything. It doesn't flinch at all.
Yeah, and so here's the context of this.
Not love bunnies.
And you can decide yourself how you feel about it, but the farmer in this is an actual farmer. He was like related to the director or something somehow. And,
I have no doubt the rabbit was actually eaten or whatever.
And so he was going to kill the rabbit because that was just part of like life on the farm.
Sure, animals have to die.
And the director was just like, "Hey, can I film it?"
Yeah.
And so he filmed it, and it's wedged in this movie now for all time.
But it's
a hard fucking watch.
It is. And it's my impression that this is a memory. I think this is maybe something he saw when he was a kid.
Yeah, that was the vibe I got.
And it left an impression.
It's like a preoccupation he's had since childhood.
Want to hear a fun Jason story as a kid?
Okay.
So my dad was always big into hunting, right? Deer hunting.
Sure, mine too.
Like that. I never went. I was never...
I was a big puss, and the first few times I tried to go, I was like sad because I was like, it was like a doe, and I was like, if I shoot it, there's like a Bambi, and it'll be sad that it lost its mom, and it's my fault.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big fucking fail for me there. So.
But Dad comes back with a friend of his, and they had gotten a buck, and the friend had 2 kids that came over too, and they were younger than me, and I'm 7 or 8 at this point. So they proceed to dress it in our basement. It was an unfinished basement, so it was like concrete and stuff like that.
So it was like the set of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. And I'd never seen this before. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to watch. And I saw a little bit and went back upstairs. And I came back down, and then like this thing is just, I mean, it doesn't look like, it's just a big massive red, shiny flesh and entrails and shit. And
then you're like, dude, that's fucking all of us, man.
Yeah, basically. And it was very much a moment. It's one of those moments where you're like, that revulsion and fascination. And the little kids were like really into it, like too into it, like poking it and like, I mean, it was interesting. And I'm sitting there on the steps. I don't even want to go down closer. I'm just like watching from the steps, like kind of freaked out. These little kids are just like, and it's just, I don't know. It's a fact of life. I eat meat,
Oh yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I'm always the first to say when we always have this discussion, we're both big hypocrites. We eat meat.
Yes. And I know an animal has to die for
what it is.
And I know death's always unpleasant. It's never easy. You know, it's always messy.
But again, like we just said, what lives that does not live from the death of someone else?
Right. Plus, and you know me, I've said this before, I only eat ugly animals. Deer are very pretty. Cows are fucking hideous. Chickens are gross.
Oh, there's some adorable cows.
No. I mean, I want everything killed as humanely as possible.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, of course.
And sometimes I think about becoming a vegan or something, but god damn, man, meat is so good. I don't know. And then if I was raised on a farm or I was butchering stuff, I'd probably just, I don't know, maybe like those kids, you know, I wouldn't care. I don't know. Anyway, that's what this part made me think of.
And I think to give him whatever credit we can, that is why it's here. It's to challenge the viewer.
Sure.
To your preconceived notions, your...
But also, and I don't believe in killing an animal just for a movie or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But I think the moral of the lesson is that the character saw this. As a kid, I saw it too. You know, and it was real. It was very real.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Is that why you've got the corpse hanging on your wall over there?
One of the reasons.
Okay.
And he's also kind of fantasizing about him like dissecting a body at the same time.
Yeah, he almost has like a mad scientist vibe to him a little bit.
Yeah.
With all the like stuff in jars and...
Yeah. Like a failed mad scientist. So then we get a scene with this doofus sitting in his yard, and it's a pellet gun he has. And it's like a little mini sawed-off shotgun looking thing.
Yeah.
And he's like playing with it, but one of his neighbors is like picking apples off his tree, minding his own business, picking apples. And the dude's like, you know, pretending to shoot at stuff, and he's like taking shots at birds. And then he shoots his gun and hits the neighbor. The neighbor falls and lands on like one of his implements, some tool, and dies. So then the goofy neighbor goes over there and is like, "Oh shit, I killed this guy." And then we see him pushing a wheelbarrow with the body in it out into the forest.
Yeah, it's very odd.
And I suppose this is the body that Rob and his crew come across next.
Yes.
Because they come across, there's like this police inspector there finishing his job. I don't know what the fuck he's doing because the body's still like submerged in the water. But they drag it out and it's rotting. It's there's still some flesh left, but like all the skin's gone and it's all black and slimy.
Which I wanted to talk about this whole like the dude in the backyard murdering the guy.
Okay.
So this is from a film critic talking about the movie, Lenny Blake. But they said they thought it was telling that the murderer of the young gardener is previously seen shooting at birds. And it's a very type of like sort of character that was from other films like made at this time. I think they called them Heimat films. And it was a sort of conservative West German genre that would show like morally unimpeachable family and their community lives. And it was kind of very like, you know, daily life, everything is normal, everything is good, everything is stable.
But you go home and they're depraved fuckers.
But makes sense in the context of that because, you know, you're wanting that normalcy in the wake of what happened. But she makes the point that in the film, he both like evokes that genre and also criticizes it at the same time, with the implication that the culture which produced it, what you just said, on the surface, everything is nice and pleasant and great, but just right underneath it, everyone's depraved.
Everything's rotten.
And that anyone could kill someone and then hide the corpse and easily get away with it.
I guess so, apparently. This guy does. So Rob and his crew come up, and they're bagging him up and taking him out, and...
he's a little ripe,
yeah,
our dead guy here.
Definitely.
He's been in the water for a while.
Yeah.
He's basically just like stretched skin over bones.
It reminds me of Tarman.
Yeah, he's got a Tarman vibe.
So Rob's boss says, "Hey, Rob, you take care of this."
Yeah, we don't have time for this.
Yeah, we're done. We're packing it in. You take care of this. So Rob's like, "Oh."
Rob's like, "This is pretty much an intact body."
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he looks a little rough, but
he likes it that way.
he sees potential.
So somehow he gets this body all the way to his apartment. And we see him entering it. And Beatrice gets very excited.
Yeah, it's a gift for Betty.
And they proceed to have, as Stanley Waiter put it, a menage a mort with it.
Yeah. They cut off part of a wooden chair
Yeah.
because I need to give the old corpse a phallus.
Yeah, the junk rotted off.
Yeah.
They put a condom over it and stick it in the abdomen.
Yeah.
And yeah, we get some weird kind of crossfadey.
And this is where
Love
if you've
scene.
been like pre-hyped on the film, you're gonna think this is gonna be like super graphic, and it's actually not.
No, it's not pornographic by any means.
It's not even very pornographic at all. It's very like
It's almost chaste. It's almost romantic the way
it's got like that romance film style of sex where it's like very like it's their faces, the emotion,
Yeah.
just
They just happen to be licking some dead dude's
just
eyeball.
slammed between them as a fucking corpse.
Yeah.
But whatever. Maybe this could be a hard watch for you. Like it didn't really disturb me because like it's so clearly a prop. But
This is the movie that's kind of hard to take seriously.
yeah,
I mean, it is disturbing and it's gross.
the idea.
Especially if you're not a fucking depraved gorehound like we are.
If you're like a normie and you started here, then
Yeah.
yeah it's probably gonna rock your world. But
Yes. Because I remember when I was young and I saw stuff that was extreme, like I Spit on Your Grave. That had a profound effect on me.
yeah.
I was like 16 or something.
Which is weird. That one was so much more accessible than a lot of them.
Yeah, and like Last House on the Left, which people forget how extreme that is too.
Yeah. Old Wes always knew what he was doing. Yeah, so they fuck the corpse.
It's like the corpse, and then there's this hard cut, this fun transition shot of him putting this big ugly piece of steak in a skillet, and he's
Yeah.
like rubbing the meat and slapping it and shit.
Yeah.
Man, this piece of meat looks so gross.
And then they're just eating it at the table.
Yeah.
And they have the dead guy just strung up to the wall.
Yeah, he's just hanging on the wall.
And
like his
he's
blood's
like
oozing
yeah,
out
he's
into
leaking,
these
so they put some pails out.
pans, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So we cut back to Rob's work, and his boss is bitching at him because his locker stinks. He had left his
Yeah.
bloody overalls in there all weekend.
Didn't wash him or clean him or anything.
And he's like, I've had enough, fucker, you're fired. So Rob goes home, all dejected, tells B that he has been fired.
And she lays into him.
Yeah.
She's like, "You're worthless. You can't keep a job. Am I supposed to just sit around here forever with you while you try to get your shit together?
Right.
I'm not going to stand for this. I'm going to go, find someone that'll take care of me."
Betty. Betty's her name.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, B. Oh, that's right. Yeah, right. She's like, I'm spending the best years of my life with you,
Wasting them.
wasting them.
I mean, yeah, you got me the corpse, but
Right. And she even says that. She's like, how are we going to get more bodies? This one's rotting.
Yeah.
He's not going to last much longer.
not fresh enough.
Right. So the next day, Rob's coming home, and I guess he has a cat with him.
Yeah. Well, also we should say like, yeah. Warning. Ew. But no, I love when he comes back and she's like fucking ditched him, and there's just the outline of the corpse where it's like stained the wall.
Yeah. He comes in and he sees a letter on the bed, and he reads it, and she's like, "Yeah, I've left. I'm not going to waste the best years of my life with you. I took our friend." And then he looks on the wall. There's this big black grease spot on the wall. It's like in the movie Pulse.
Yeah.
When people disappear.
And they just like ash to the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh shit, what am I going to do? So we see him playing with the cat for a while, which is really affecting because it looks like one of the cats I used to have.
Yeah. Don't like this part.
No. He kills the cat, all right? He puts it in the bag and kills the cat. Luckily, it's not that graphic.
Yes. Yes. It's fake. They don't hurt the cat.
Yes. And the puppet or the
Prop.
they use looks nothing like the actual cat, also thankfully.
Yeah, but just the idea of it though that he
Right,
like kills it and then
Especially
he
if you're-
like drains its blood into the bath.
He's
to like bathing in
bathing,
it and you just lose all my sympathy, bro. That's just kill a cat. Come on.
Oh, he had it until now.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. Everybody's got their challenges.
Yeah,
and
at least
their
he
difficulties
didn't kill the guy, the
Right.
corpse.
Yeah, just found him.
Yeah, and he's like ripping the cat open and bathing in its entrails.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care what the film is. Like, Drag Me to Hell, fuck that bitch. She killed the cat. She didn't need to kill the
She
cat.
did kill that cat.
She got what she deserved.
I don't think we're supposed to like her that much in that movie, though.
I don't.
I love Drag Me to Hell, though. Man, I wish
Yeah.
maybe we make more horror
Pass.
films. Okay. So we get past that part, that unpleasantness.
Yeah, he's having a bad time. He's spiraling.
Sure is. I mean, okay, in his defense, it would really be hard to find a girl that looks as good as Betty that's into dead shit.
Yes, equally as he was.
And this was like way before, fucking Tinder and shit. You know?
I need a guy who's 6'2", dead, but with all body parts still present, and also makes $1 million a year. And yeah, I'm up on my memes. I know about that one.
Yep. Oh boy.
So he does what anyone does. He gets really drunk. He takes a bunch of pills.
Goes to a cheapo horror movie at the theater.
Yeah.
He looks very bored at the movies, which I would be too, because this movie they're watching looks like shit.
It's like a fake slasher that they made.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it.
And this is like some little, and it probably was illegal, because I know in West Germany and stuff, you really couldn't have that many violent films.
Yeah.
They were like uber verboten.
Which is probably why those other films were so popular.
Yeah, yeah. So this probably was like some little underground grindhouse that he went to. It fucking looks like one. This ain't doing it for him, so he leaves. And back home, yeah, he's drinking and taking pills, and he has a dream or a vision or whatever of a chick in a white dress, and he's a corpse.
Yeah.
He's like dead. He's like half his face is gone.
It's a good visual.
Yeah, it's a good visual. And she brings him like a box, a present, and inside's a severed head.
Yeah.
And they're having a great time. They're like passing it back and forth. And there's like this really maudlin piano music.
It's like the old like running through the field of flowers and embracing your lover.
He's just so happy in this vision. It's just not attainable. He can't get this in real life. You know?
He wakes up. It's late at night.
What are you going to do, man?
What are you gonna do?
You're going to go cruise and you're going to pick up a sex worker.
Yeah, why not?
Takes you to the cemetery.
And his baby, all I want you to do is just lay there.
Yeah, don't move.
Be real still.
Takes me to the cemetery. He's thinking, okay, we're surrounded by death. Maybe this will do it.
I love it that he asks her to, and she's like, it's going to cost extra.
Yeah, like whatever, freak.
Fucking freak.
But he's having problems. He can't perform because she's too alive, So she's like, making fun of him, laughing.
And she does what any person of the craft would do in that moment, which is savagely make fun of him.
Yes, yes. Always a good idea to do that in front of someone who can potentially kill you.
Yeah, when you're alone in a graveyard.
Yeah. So he does that. He strangles her, and then he's able to do the deed.
Yep. Like any good serial killer in the making, that's where the light bulbs go off, and it's ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Oh, sexual gratification linked to murderous violence. Yeah, not good.
But I guess it was so good he falls asleep because it's the next fucking morning.
Yeah.
And the gravedigger's
Well,
coming
to be
out.
fair, he is like
He was wasted.
on so much shit at this point.
Yeah, that's true. The gravedigger comes out. He's like, oh, shit. Rob gets up, grabs the gravedigger's shovel, decapitates the dude.
Yeah, he really fucking goes for it because he's like, what do I got to lose at this point?
He does. And it's a very, like, Sam Raimi-y or Peter Jackson-y.
Yeah, I thought
kind
of like
effect.
Dead Alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, half the head's cut.
I was waiting for the guy to pop out and be like, stand back, boy.
Evil as a foot. Yeah, so then he kills him and he runs off. And we're back at his house and he's drinking more. And I guess, he's like, okay, well, there's going to be a lot of heat on me. I've killed people.
Yeah.
I've reached this nadir.
He has nothing.
This is it.
No job, no woman, no dead bodies.
You can't even
wanted
get it up.
for murder.
Can't even get it up unless that's involved.
Though, and he may have been a little premature in this. He was on a lot of substances. Mm-hmm. Here's my question: could that have impacted his performance?
No.
Could he have been a little premature in his conclusions?
No, I think he needs death.
Yeah. Fuck this guy. He killed a
Fuck
cat.
this guy. Oh, and he has another vision of him like dancing around in the field like Ed Grimley.
Yeah.
It's very funny. Okay, so then he decides, hey, I got nothing to live for. I may as well go out with a bang.
Oh, and he does.
And he does indeed. because he gets a knife and he lays on his bed and he's about to stab himself in the stomach, but we see him undo his pants. And he begins stabbing himself. Mm-hmm. And then we see his fake penis. Mm-hmm. He begins ejaculating, and he keeps stabbing, and blood starts pumping out of it. Easily the most famous scene of this movie. If you forget everything else in this movie, this is the image you remember.
Full-on Japanese adult video tear.
Yeah. And blood's going everywhere, and he's dying and having a great time at the same time. And I guess he's imagining it. I don't know, but we see the farmer with the rabbit again, but it's in reverse.
Yeah.
It's like he's fixing the rabbit. It's like he's bringing the rabbit to life as Rob is killing himself.
Yeah.
Then we get a shot of his grave, and a shovel comes down, and the high-heeled foot comes up to kick it in. The end.
Yeah, and it kind of suggests that it's Betty.
Yes.
Because she did have a pair of heels like this that we see earlier in the film.
And it is her, and we see her in Necromantic too.
Actually, well, spoilers for another time.
Yes.
But that's the film.
That's Necromantic.
It's short, it's nice and tight.
Yeah, it's like 71 minutes. I don't think it needs to be any longer.
Is what it is. I got a lot of notes.
Okay.
Let's run through some of this.
Go for it.
Our director, he said in an interview that he never really intended to be a filmmaker. When he set out to do Necromantic, it was really just a film to rebel against the German film rating system. And he said his only goal was to shock as many people as possible. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, no, he did that.
He had previously done some featurettes in Super 8, but this was his first feature-length film. Bootgereit, along with his co-writer Franz Rodenkirchen, conceived the basic concept of the film while discussing the relationship between love, sex, and death. The idea to connect an orgasm to the moment of death, somebody actually enjoying his own demise, was part of their initial idea. Film had no budget, very inexpensive special effects. For some of the entrail parts, they used actual like animal parts, intestines, eyeballs from pigs, stuff you could just like go to a butcher and acquire.
Yeah.
We already talked about the rabbit scene. That guy was a professional rabbit breeder, and that was just part of his daily work.
Sure.
The fun thing is, though, the corpse's eyes, those were pig eyes, but he acquired them by going to a slaughterhouse and saying he was a medical student and he needed them for class.
Of course.
Oh, a little life hack for you there.
Yeah, sure.
Let's see what else. Oh, the slasher film he goes to see in the theater. There's this really like notable scream that happens right at the end of it.
Yeah, there's some audio you might recognize.
Yeah, it's pilfered from the infamous Splinter scene out of Fulci's Zombie.
Yes.
Which
classic scene.
You rewatch that movie as much as I do, you would recognize the scream.
You would, yeah.
Among all the pictures on their walls, like I said, there were some serial killers, and notably Charles Manson is in there.
Of course.
Let's see what else we got.
Oh, Charlie.
Obviously, this defied the censorship standards of the time. Since 1984, all horror films released in West Germany have been edited to remove violent scenes, both in cinema release and video release. Some of these are pretty infamous, like 1985's release of Day of the Dead. There was a total of 32 films that were banned from release in any format, and this included stuff like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Mother's Day, and The Evil Dead.
So it's pretty much like the UK in the early 80s with the video nasties.
Thing. Yep. They didn't submit it to review.
Obviously. By
the film board there.
Probably would have been arrested.
They just said, hey, this film's for adults and it's going to be sold to adults and we don't need a rating. Surprisingly, the film critics in Berlin were very favorable to it, calling it taboo breaking, pointing out a lot of its artistic merits, the quality of the special effects, which I do think for like a no budget film.
Oh yeah.
Effects are great.
It's pretty good.
Let's see. There was a magazine article on sex and death in the modern gay cinema, and it cast the film as an allegory for AIDS and the necessity of safe sex. So, interesting read on the film, I guess.
Okay.
After its release, it didn't have any major knockback, actually, from anyone. It kind of just came, it went, and whatever. However, 1991, he creates Necromantic 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
And Electric Boogaloo, and people lost their fucking shit. German authorities issued a ban on all sales of it. And for the original film, they kind of backported on it.
That's what you get for being too successful.
Yeah, which I will say, I don't know how much you want to even talk about it. I like the second one more than the first one.
God, it's been so long since I've seen it.
It goes in an interesting direction that like builds on the first one.
The only thing I honestly remember about that one is the end.
Okay.
And the guy finding the severed penis in the fridge of this girl he's dating and not being too concerned about it.
See, I like the angle of that too, where you have like the normal guy, and he like slowly learns about the predilection.
Yeah.
It gives you like a different perspective in an interesting way. John Waters, I mentioned, he sung the praise of this film. So he called it the first ever erotic film for necrophiliacs.
He's probably right.
Let's see. In Japan, the film got heavily cut and merged with Necromantic 2 to make one big super film.
It surprises me it got cut because the Japanese have always been such gorehounds.
Yeah. That is surprising. It is interesting, though, that I think like if they're run together, it does kind of work. Because Necromantic 2, it literally picks up from that scene of the grave being like dug into.
It's a true sequel. It's like goes right into it.
Let's see. They did a special release of that Japanese version in Germany by Laser Paradise in 2003, where they kept the like two films merged, but they kept all the cut scenes in. So it was like one big Uber version with both films in full.
Interesting.
Seems cool. Even to this day, the film is still banned in some places. It doesn't get much traction in Iceland, Malaysia, Singapore, the provinces of Nova Scotia, and Ontario and Canada. 92, the Australian Classification Board banned the film for all of Australia due to graphic necrophilia content.
Australia's got some weird hang-ups, man. You can't be in porn unless you're like a certain breast size. They have to be like large.
Well, that's weird.
Or you can't be in porn.
But they're going to send a fucking amateur to the Olympics and get breakdancing taken out
Dance like a kangaroo.
of the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine.
It's okay. Whatever.
She had big boobs. It's all right.
Let's see. In 93, it was outright banned in Finland. New Zealand kicked it out in 1999, listing it to be revolting, objectionable content.
I mean, they're not wrong.
In 2014, the British Board of Film Classification gave it a pass uncut with an 18 certificate.
So that actually surprises me.
They'd wait a long time.
They did wait a long time, but still.
Let's see. Just the name of the film is kind of iconic. It's been reused in a lot of stuff.
Such a great name.
Spanish gore grind band Hemorrhage used the film's opening theme as an intro on one of their albums, Emetic Cult. Norwegian black metal band Carpathian Forest covered the film's opening theme for their album Strange Old Brew. And then, of course, there's also the Danish psychobilly band Necromantics.
Necromantics
after the
rule, dude. They're so good live. Such a great band. Ken Necroman rules. Has a coffin-shaped bass. It's great.
Love it. And then I have just some like critical thoughts about it people have written. Let's see. According to Bartolomej Pazlic, the film revealed its roots in amateur film techniques through the use of poor acting and inferior cinematography. What actually made it is a must-see horror film for fans, where it's taboo-breaking scenes and dwelling on the filthy, disgusting subjects. Let's see. Chris van der Loot said of the film, it's a mix of elements from several genres: the splatter film, schlock film, black comedy, exploitation, and softcore pornography. The title itself implies a mix of death and romance. The film then serves as both an ode to necrophilia and an attack on the perceptions of morality of the bourgeoisie.
That's a great title. No one's arguing that.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. And this is some more like just analysis on the film. So like, Rob is a character and who he is. He has this hobby of collecting specimens. Otherwise, he's kind of typical like blue collar working class guy.
Yeah.
So if you look at the company that employs him, they kind of have these fascist allusions to them, both in their name and, as you pointed out, with that little emblem that's very like
that logo
SS vibe to it. So he loses his job, his romance falls apart. She berates him for his lack of money and his lack of being a man, and then she abandons him. And that kind of brings in some themes of like emotional and financial impotence.
Man, Rob is a beta cuck.
Which it's interesting. Like it's, like more of an ideal thing, but then they also relate that into the physical of like he's literally impotent when he is with the sex worker and can't get it going.
Yeah.
So several times in the film we see the outside of their apartment, which, as you said, is
Physical Graffiti album cover.
yeah. And that's contrasted with like the grotesque scenes inside, how ran down the apartment is, how nasty it is.
So gross. It is so gross.
Just feels like you would just sweat the whole time you're in there.
It smells like mildew and barf.
And Lenny Blake argued that this is an evocation of the uncanny and Freudian terms. Some other neat things, when you see all of like Rob's collection, he owns a version of the Glass Man, a little mini version of it. This was a model made in 1930 by Franz Schekirk. I probably said that name wrong, I'm sorry. But it was a life-size model of a male figure with transparent skin, making visible the skeleton and the internal organs.
Like our buddy Penn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it circles back to that a little bit.
This movie's not as good as Penn.
No way. Let's see. We talked about the murder in the garden. That was cool.
In the garden, there's a murder.
Oh, the slasher film. The film in a film.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a knife-wielding killer, and he's kind of chasing a female victim. And when he catches her, it gets a little sexual. He's kind of rubbing the knife along her body.
Sure.
And
Very Argento-esque.
becomes very like phallus-esque in its use. And a lot of critics point out the fact that like it keeps cutting to the audience, and you can see they're very desensitized. They're bored. Some of them are kissing one another. Others are just eating or loudly talking. There's just a lack of empathy. Like the scene doesn't affect them at all.
It's like they're accusing us horror fans of something. I don't like it, man. I don't like what this movie's suggesting.
Let's see. And then this is the last little like critical analysis that someone put out there. It's on the suicide scene. So it's a depiction of extreme masochism, but also concludes the story of Rob's sexual dysfunction, existential crisis, and social isolation. And what differentiates it, Rob's not the only person in this story who has a fetish for the dead, but he is the one who constantly fails in his relationships with the living. He can't make that connection. That avenue is kind of like blocked off for him. He can never like bridge that gap all the way. Some food for thought.
Indeed.
You got anything? Any notes?
Nah, you hit pretty much everything.
Okay. Well, what do you think of this?
It's
hard.
I don't know how long it's been since I've seen this movie. It's been over 20 years, at least. It's hard. You can't really separate it from the phenomena, from its the word of mouth, from its aura. It's like Cannibal Holocaust. It's like, although I do like Cannibal Holocaust better as a movie.
I think of a Serbian film. It's one of those ones where like the reputation is greater than the nasty shit you'll actually see in it.
Right.
And that is a hard film. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like,
and this is a hard film too. It's very gory. It's very depressing.
It will never be as ominous and looming as it is in your head when you hear about it.
No, never. Especially that now you can stream it on your fucking TV with no effort whatsoever.
Yeah.
You don't have to go hunt it down in some darkened,
the movie crypt.
for forbidden crypt. Yeah. So that whole aura of danger is gone. Yeah, you'd have to order it from some, third party shady Video Search of Miami type place or something.
And in a lot of places it's not banned. So it's one of those things like, if it was that bad.
It's on fucking YouTube. Yeah. It is on fucking YouTube. This one was in German. It didn't have the subtitles, but still. What the fuck? My 16-year-old brain would have exploded if I could have easily have found all that shit back then.
It's like you popped on to like rotten.com.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's a movie I respect because it is like no budget, and it was obviously they put effort into it. I don't think they were just taking a piss. It's saying something. I'm not exactly sure what. But yeah, there is something about the whole disassociation, the loneliness. You know, it is an extreme exaggeration of what it feels like to be one of the others or on the outskirts of society or forgotten. You know, I mean, it's a hard one to judge. It really is. I think at the end of the day, if I'm going to give it a rating, I would give it 3 stars.
Okay.
Mostly because of just it's fucking necromantic, you know, and it's not an enjoyable movie. That's something that rewatching it this time, because the first time I saw it, it's all like, oh yeah, ooh,
holy shit,
wow, it's all gross. I can't believe I'm watching this.
For sure.
And now it's just like, you know.
And that's again why I prop up the second one more, because I think it's got a little bit more like play to it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it gets to a point where it's a geek show, you know, and it's like, ooh, look at this. Isn't this gross? You know, isn't this extreme? Wow. You know, without being too deep or really that well made or entertaining. But at the same time, man, it's necromantic.
I think it's a bit like if you go to a theme park and they have like a dark ride style haunted house where you're in like the little cart and you ride through. It will never be as fun as it is that first time when you don't know what's coming.
Right.
And it just hits you all at once. And then you can go through it again and it is fun, but you're like, okay, the thing pops up over here that drops down from the ceiling there.
It's going to happen here. Yeah. What do you think, man? What's your thoughts?
The music is hot garbage. Let's talk about that.
The music,
really
the music's pretty bad.
So bad. Give me that rescore, whoever wants to do it. And then overall, like, it's well made, it's well put together, it's well composed. I like the runtime. I don't think it ever overstays its welcome.
Oh god, if this was any longer, it'd be insufferable.
It uses its runtime well.
Yeah.
I think it's trying to say a lot of things. It has a lot of big ideas, focusing on like the censorship of the time, kind of the perceptions of people that are into like horror and extreme films, and then a lot to say, I guess, about like life and death and like. Our perceptions of it, our fear of it.
And it's kind of punk, especially knowing that he made it basically as a middle finger to the German government. You know,
which let's just say it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right.
Points for that. And I kind of like at times how vulgar it is. Like I said, it just opens on a chick pissing on the side of the road and just shows it to you.
Yep.
The house is grimy. Their corpse friend is very goopy.
Very goopy.
I get hung up on the fetus and how he acquired that, and I keep wondering, like, is there a necromantic Zero out there we can get, maybe?
Zero.
See the origins of this guy, how he built up to where he was. And I think really, like, his whole, like, challenging censorship, they really sneak it into the film, because one of the times he's watching TV, they even mention video nasties as part of the program.
Right.
So it really felt like it was, like, a very open challenge to that. The rabbit scene is tough. I get that, you know, it was going to happen anyways, which is fine. Doesn't mean you need to feel it.
Doesn't mean it needs to be in your movie.
Hard watch, even after I had already seen it once before. I'm also a hypocrite, that's whatever. So I do like it. I think it's good. I think it's well made. But it's like you said, it's not fun. You're not going to be like, I go home and be like, you know what, I've had a hard day. Let me throw on Necromantic.
Yeah.
Well, let me correct myself. You might be a person that says that.
You might be. And if you are, hey.
If you do,
fine.
that's okay, and that's you. And that's fine. But for me, I don't come home and say, let me throw on Necromantic.
No.
Have me a good hour.
Yeah.
And walk on feeling good about it.
And it's been a while since I was that guy that wanted to shock his friends by making them watch something extreme, you know?
Yeah, eventually you run out of friends. That's what I learned when you do that. I also think that it's not his best film.
No, have you seen any of those movies? Like Schramm or Der Todesking?
So I've seen Der Todesking. I think that's his peak. That's his best.
It's much more artistic.
It's just very, very artistic, very art house. Like, if it had been made modern day, A24 would have, like, shit a brick to get a hold of it.
Schramm is better, too.
Slap their logo on it.
Yeah. And I think those movies are also more disturbing.
They are more disturbing, more impactful. It's just because I think the progression of his, like, skill and his talent improving.
Yeah.
Because those were later films of his. Like Der Todesking, it's like an anthology that's just all about like death and different permutations of it and the way it happens and
very black metal
suicide and it's a fucking heavy film, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about it one day, but probably have to be via suggestion maybe because it's tough, but it's tough but good. And so knowing that one, I can't like elevate Necromantic even if I wanted to. So I actually just gave it 2 stars.
2 stars, yeah.
Like, I think it's worth seeing if you are like a diehard horror fan and you need to see everything. Like, you got to check it off your list. It's one of the big ones.
Yeah.
It's right there with Cannibal Holocaust. I think now Serbian film is in that category too. You got to say you saw it.
August Underground, that kind of thing.
You got to check it off. But I mean, you don't have to like it. You don't have to love it.
No.
You just got to respect it for what he did, and he did achieve a lot, and that's commendable.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said.
So it's a very like soft, loving 2 stars. I'm giving it right now.
All right, soft loving, like the threesome in the movie.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, hey, that's Necromantic.
Well, hey, it was fun, and you can always write in and let us know what you think about it, what you've been seeing, what you're checking out. Do you love this film? Do you hate this film? Are you afraid of this film?
Yeah. Is it something you would never ever watch in a million years?
Share it with us. We want to know.
Yeah. However,
it is time to move on. And again, we thank you, Elena, for submitting this our way.
Thanks.
Happy to put in our vault of things we've talked about.
That's right. But we got to do another movie.
And it's your turn.
It is. And we're going to stay in the 80s, but we're going to come back to the U.S.
Okay. Hopping on our plane, flying back.
A movie that I don't think is out on Blu-ray.
Oh.
That I think needs to be.
So that's like your mission this year. It's just
It is. I'm willing this to exist on Blu-ray.
manifesting movies.
But this is by George P. Cosmatos, if I'm pronouncing his last name, which is the father of the guy.
Panos Cosmatos?
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. It's from 1983. It has Peter Weller.
Oh, okay.
It is of unknown origin.
Unknown origin. I have never seen this before.
Yes.
I'm glad it's in one of those DVD cases that's like made of cardboard.
It is. And it's got that annoying claspy thing on
Yeah.
yeah. But the cover it's just a fun cover. It's like a photograph of a family with like it's been
Claw
clawed.
marks.
Yeah. And the blurb on the poster is the terrifying last word in Home Invasion from the director of Tombstone and Cobra.
Okay, that's some weird films to champion, but okay.
And not that Tombstone and not that Cobra. No, it is that Cobra.
Yeah.
He did the Stallone movie. Yeah. I'm thinking of something else.
I've got the synopsis right here.
Wait, did he do Tombstone?
I can tell you. He did.
Holy shit, he did do Tombstone.
Tombstone,
That's right.
Rambo, First Blood Part 2, Cobra, Leviathan.
Fucking A, he did.
Yeah.
That's right. I forget this dude's filmography. He's pretty good.
Yeah. Synopsis. A man who recently completed rebuilding a townhouse becomes obsessed with a rat infestation until it becomes an interspecies duel.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
All you need to know is Peter Weller trying to kill a giant rat. That's all you need to know.
Okay. So we're going to bring it down a little from those heady thoughts of life and death.
Yeah. We're going to bring it down. We're going to have a little bit more fun.
A little creature feature.
Yep.
Okay. I'm up for it.
It is streaming, but I think you gotta rent it. But I mean, enterprising young people could probably find it for free out there.
Sure. And Vinegar Syndrome, it's like a slam dunk. Come on. Pick it up.
That's right. Give us 4K. I'll buy it.
Otherwise, write into us. Tell us what you've been watching, what you've been seeing. Have you seen Alien Romulus? Do you like it? Has it saved the franchise? Tell me it's at least better than Covenant, please.
Let's hope so.
I did see, too, where I think Alvarez came out and was like, hey, I want to get with the director of Prey and do like a AVP that we like co-direct.
Oh, shit.
That could be fun.
Sorry to interrupt you, but what the fuck do I know? It is out on Blu-ray.
What?
I'm not sure how recent this is. But it's $25 on Amazon. So, yeah. Or you can rent it for $3.
Somebody's beach. Oh, it's Shout Factory.
Oh, good old Shout Factory. This is like a quiet release. I don't remember this ever coming out.
Huh, yeah. It's been out since, looks like maybe 2018, seems like.
Okay. Well, I'm still going to champion this movie because obviously it is underloved.
Yeah, you know what? We need to move some copies for Shout Factory. So.
Yeah. They got some sitting in the back somewhere. Too many. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right.
Okay, cool.
Well, give us a 4K.
We'll see if it deserves a 4K.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, hit us up. Let us know what's going on with you, or give us a movie to watch. You can do it. You can hit us up on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. email us at genreexposure@gmail.com, or shout into the cosmos and see if it reaches us.
Yes. Cast some spells.
Otherwise, you have been listening to Genre Exposure.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.